Quintin Clay is a multimedia, artistic, and educational African-American exploration, and it's coming here to the Gaillard Center on September 15th. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, I sit down with the curator of the dinner for the program, Dr. Jessica Harris, one-on-one. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Dr. Jessica Harris, it is so good to meet you.
Well, it is lovely to meet you, Quintin, Washington.
I appreciate this greatly.
No, well, so do I.
Oh,
so do I.
Glad to hear that. So let me create the scene. We're sitting here at the Charleston Gaillard Center, and coming up, I believe, around September 15th.
Not, I believe, around September 15th. Coming up on September 15th.
You're going to have, obviously, the food of the African diaspora.
Mm-hmm.
Different pronunciations for that.
That's all right. Different strokes, different folks.
There you go. And, you know, Kelly Lawson here, who's the marketing manager for the Gaillard Center, sent me a brief biography of you. And it reads this. In her more than 4 decades as a journalist, Dr. Harris has written book reviews, theater reviews, travel, feature, and beauty articles, too numerous to note. She has lectured on African American food and culture at numerous institutions throughout the United States and abroad, and has written extensively about the culture of Africa and the Americas, particularly the foodways. In the most recent edition of the Encyclopedia of American Food and Drink, author John Marini cites Harris as the ranking expert on African American foodways in the United States. Who else is Dr. Jessica Harris these days?
Well, one of the things that she is, as of, well, the end of this month, is retired.
Congratulations.
So retired is a good thing.
Yes.
And what that does is it allows me more time to do the stuff I want to do.
Yeah.
And the stuff that I have been doing kind of as a sideline for those 40 years. Because I have been teaching at Queens College in New York City for 50 years. So that's longer than you've been on this earth.
Right.
So you know that's a long time.
Yes.
But with that, what I am doing is more work with food, more work with culture, more work with food and culture put together, because as a mantra from one of the museums that I'm working with, the Museum of Food and Drink in New York City, says, food is culture. We don't always think about that, but food is culture. What you eat is as much a part of your culture as your traditional dress, as your religion, as everything else. What you eat is a part of your culture. So food is culture. And with that in mind, certainly in this day and age, in these times in which we are currently living, we need to begin to share our cultures and know our cultures and understand where our cultures intersect and understand how things happen. And so one of the things that I am doing is trying to work at that through the table. And that brings us to this event, which is why Kelly brought me here and is why we're speaking with each other right now, particularly. And that is on the 15th of September, there's a whole day that's devoted to the Geechee Gullah culture, which is one of the bedrock cultures of the United States, and particularly one of the bedrock cultures of Africans in diaspora, because of the nature of the kind of enslavement that occurred in this place, because of the way that things have been maintained in this place, because of your ancestors in this place. This place is for people in the African diaspora and for people in general, sacred ground. There are a lot of places that could be pointed out as being sacred ground, but this is a particularly important one. Bahia, Salvador de Bahia in Brazil, Santiago in Cuba, places like in Colombia, places in Jamaica, New Orleans. All of those spots are, if you will, totemic. They're places where, places among others where Africans changed the view, where we crafted something out of absolutely less than nothing that had never existed before. And that could not have existed without us. People in Charleston who go to Bay Street, look at those couldn't have happened without us. People who eat red rice,
Right.
couldn't have happened without us. People who listen to the songs, couldn't have happened without us. So all of these things are part of the culture. And that culture also turns up on the plate. And so on the 15th, that culture is getting celebrated in multiple ways. Through the Slave Dwelling Project, I'm sure you've spoken with
Right.
him. Through the dinner.
Right.
Through the singing, the spirituals. And through an art exhibit as well, a photography exhibit. And so all of these things are coming to, we sometimes talk about peeling the onion to get down to the middle, but in this case, we're building the onion out, if you will, showing that, yes, this is this, but these went into it, and that went into it, and that went into it, and that went into it. And it's a whole lot broader and a whole lot deeper than folks occasionally think. So it's food for thought, literally.
And when you think of Charleston, the food and the culture, what goes through your mind?
Oh, well, I've been coming to Charleston for a fairly long time. I've been coming to Charleston for, goodness, I was going to say 20 years, but it's probably more like 30 or 40. I've been coming to Charleston for a long time. And I usually tell people I know every crazy person in Charleston. And that may be true. I remember Tony the Peanut Man.
Right.
Okay. I remember, all kinds of things. I don't need to start going down memory lane. I remember John Martin Taylor.
Oh, yeah.
John Martin Taylor is a friend, and I remember when he had his bookstore here.
Mm.
Most Charlestonians, or many Charlestonians, don't know that, or don't remember that, or unless they're called upon, don't think about that. So when I say I've been coming, and through a variety of people, have met a variety of people. So I like to think that I get all over this city. So when I think of Charleston, the first thing I think of, friends. I have really, really good, close friends in Charleston. I can think of people like Nicole Green, who started the Old Slave Mark Museum.
Right. Oh, yeah. Chalmers.
And then went up to the African American Museum in D.C.
Right.
And is now back in town. So that's my first thing with Charleston, is a personal connection. Even though I am not from here, I have people that I consider as close as family who are.
Mm.
That's the first thing. The second thing is the absolute rich history of the place. Charleston is a history lover's delight.
Sure.
A lot of it is pain. A lot of it is tears. But the fact of survival is transcendent. The things that your ancestors here in this place, that my ancestors in other places went through and survived and triumphed over, so that you and I are sitting down here talking on technology, is amazing. Is absolutely amazing, and is such a story of human greatness on so many levels that we forget.
Mm.
We don't always think about that. But we need to understand that we're here because people bled and suffered and died and did without to make us be able. And so it behooves us to be as able as we can. Okay?
You talk about pain and suffering. I could ask you about two significant events, locations here in Charleston, in one word. Mother Emanuel AME Church, in one word.
Heartbreak.
the International African American Museum.
Glory.
Mhm. What is that one food that describes you, Dr. Harris?
I have 2 ingredients on my business card.
Mm.
Because I have a card that's flipped. I go somewhere in the summer, and then I'm somewhere in the winter. So the summer card has watermelon on it.
Mm.
Watermelon probably originated on the African continent. People are not exactly sure, but they think maybe down by the Namibian desert. There's a type of melon that may have been the ancestor of watermelon. It actually appears in Egyptian, pyramid paintings. It's been around a long time. So watermelon is one of Africa's gifts here. The other is one that's a little more contentious, and that's okra. I love okra. I love okra, and it is on and has been on my stationery for the better part of 50, 40 years. So those would be my 2 foods.
Wow, that is so great to hear. Well, Dr. Jessica Harris, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Thank you so much, Quentin. It has been delightful to be here.
Oh,
Thank
likewise.
you.
You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you.
You're welcome.